Hey guys, welcome back. If you're new here, this is Americorps for you. My name is Abby and I do a little bit of history on this channel. And today I want to discuss what is Women's History Month and who are some really cool women we should focus on. So in the month of March, we celebrate Women's Appreciation Month. And this is a month that we take time to look at the history and the impact that women have made in American society and pay it the appreciation that it really deserves. Another reason that we celebrate is to make sure that the younger generations of women and the little girls and teenagers growing into the world realize that their appreciation and the things that they do are appreciated in society and by everyone around them. So today I want to spend a little bit of time focusing on women who you may not know and women who made a big impact in American society. So the very first woman I want to start with, her name is Valentina Tereshkova. And that name may be kind of foreign to you, but she was the very first female astronaut to ever go into space by herself on what is called a solo mission. The space mission was called Vostok 6, and she spent 3 days in space and orbited the Earth a total of 48 times. And she is still to this day the only woman to have ever done a single mission into space all by herself. No one else was on the ship with her. Along with some of the first, like the first astronaut, I want to talk about some current CEOs and women in power. The first person I want to talk about actually is the CEO of this very website, YouTube. Her name is Susan Wojciki. She became the CEO of YouTube after it was being passed down, and she's one of the most influential women in entertainment and company owning in all of America. Along with being the CEO of YouTube, she's also been in the industry for over 20 years and has spent a lot of her time at UCLA learning and developing her education on the industry. And to top it all off, which is kind of cool, I would say, her net worth is over $580 million to this day. Along with CEOs, I want to talk about some women who were CEOs and expanded their industry and their progress towards other careers. And the first woman I want to tell you about is Indra Nuiyi. She is an Indian American woman who used to be the CEO of Pepsi. And she spent a lot of her time at Pepsi developing new ideas, and that's where you got your new flavors and things like that. She also, to this day, serves on the board of Amazon and has helped discover the eco trucks that they use and is going towards zero emissions. She's also a supporter of some of their biggest projects that developed like Prime and Amazon memberships, and has created some of the most developmental industries within Amazon, as long as Pepsi and other fast foods and stuff like that. The next couple women I want to talk about are in the world of sports. And the first woman I want to talk about in the world of sports, her name is Sarah Thomas. And if you watched the Super Bowl, you would know that she is the very first woman officiate to officiate an NFL game, and she's also the very first woman in the NFL as an officiate to work full-time as a referee. Along with being the first woman to work full-time in the NFL as a referee, she's recently been offered the position of head referee for the NFL in 2021, and we're still waiting to see if she'll take it, and I really hope she does. To have a woman in that kind of position in the sports world would be really cool to see. For the next couple women, I'm just going to give you a slight overview because you might know who they are. The first one is Serena Williams. She is a female professional tennis player, and she has been known for setting records, breaking records, and just being one of the most athletic tennis players that we've seen in the past century. She won a gold medal in the Olympics in 2012, and she's also been ranked number 1 in her career and currently is number 7 overall ranked in the tennis industry. She's also number 1 for singles in the tennis industry right now. The other one is Ronda Rousey. Now you might know her because of the MMA fighting, but not only is she an MMA fighter, she also holds some of the most unbreakable records in the MMA, like the amount of fights won by knockout. Along with the amount of wins by knockout, she also has a record for consecutive wins. And now, even though she's done it being an MMA fighter, she does WWE, which is wrestling on TV, and she also does acting jobs. You might have seen her in Fast and Furious. She did a pretty good job in that one. The last honorable mention I have for you guys is Abby Womback. You might know her as America's FIFA Cup winner, and she has spent her whole life playing soccer from the age of 2 all the way until today. Even though she's no longer competing with the FIFA World Cup team for America, she still plays soccer, and she actually influences children clubs around America and plays soccer with them, introducing soccer to low-income neighborhoods and allowing children to explore their interests in sports without the cost that is usually involved. The last woman in the sports industry that I want to spend a little bit of time on is Wilma Rudolph. Now, her name might not be familiar to you, and that's okay, but she is the very first woman to ever win 3 gold medals in an Olympics competition. Her story is also very interesting because she's the first African American woman to compete in track and field and win 3 gold medals in one Olympic. Now, along with all those amazing feats, her story is a little bit interesting because when she was younger, she got a disease called polio. And if you don't know what polio is, it affects your spine and all your limbs. And her left foot was affected very much by her polio infection, and it caused her to lose most of her strength in her left foot. Now, you would be thinking that would make it impossible for her to compete, especially in track and field and running. But as she got older, she did strength training, which is what actually got her into running because she couldn't afford physical therapy. This created an atmosphere where she was continuously working on the strength of her left foot and pushed her into really loving running and wanting a career in running. And that's why when she tried out for the Olympics for the first time, they allowed her in. She didn't win anything in her very first Olympics competition, but for her, the win was being able to compete even though she had polio and her left foot was messed up from it. And on her next competition is when she won her 3 gold medals at the Olympics and created a record in track and field that's still to be beaten to this day. Now, along with sports, I want to talk about some women in what's called the entertainment industry, which is like women that you watch on TV or women who create things that you read or watch or listen to. The very first woman I want to talk about in some honorable mentions, her name is Oprah Winfrey. Now, you've probably seen her on many different shows, but she's actually the very first woman to have ever had her very own talk show, and it was actually named after her. It was called The Oprah Winfrey Show, and it was also the only ever talk show to have ran for 25 consecutive seasons and 25 consecutive years. Now, her career started at a very young age, about 19, and she continued her career even to this day with acting and doing her talk show. And she's one of the most valued women in American history, with a net worth of almost $14 billion at this point. And that's not even her net worth coming from her talk shows, that's only with her acting career after her talk show has ended. Along with Oprah Winfrey, we have some women like one that you really should know, Beyonce. Beyonce is one of the most influential music creators in all of American history. She's broken so many Academy Awards and Grammy records. She's also created a foundation for what pop and hip hop should be in the 21st century. She created albums that have broken records and still hold those records, like going platinum within the first 24 hours, and many others. The last 2 honorable mentions that I have for you are starting with Madonna. Now, Madonna is known for her musical career along with her acting career and her other things that she's carried on, like her books and other things like that. But the thing that I love the most about Madonna was that in the early 90s, she made a song called Vogue. Now, you've probably heard it, it's in a lot of different things, but not only was Vogue inspirational for the American society in the way that it was catchy and interesting, it actually brought light to a part of society that was being kind of demonized at the time. It was the Black, trans, and gay community. Voguing is a part of African American culture. It's a dance type, and when Madonna made the song Vogue, it created a worldwide craze about the Vogue dance creation, and many people started using it, dancing to it, and she even had a worldwide tour where she had dancers from New York and all across the US of Black and African heritage come and do Vogue. and it created a landslide and opening for the new introduction of trans lives and also LGBTQ lives within her music industry. And she's done that all throughout her industry going forward as well. Now, the last honorable mention before I spend a little bit more time is Whitney Houston. Now, you've definitely heard her music, but did you know that Whitney Houston is actually one of the most awarded women in entertainment industry to have ever existed? She also has some of the most listened to songs, and she has the most streamed music in the whole entire world out of any artist of any category. Whitney Houston has been breaking records from the age of 16 until her very last day. She's just a very cool artist, and I think that if you wanted to listen to her music or listen to other music by women in the industry, you should look into it. The last woman I want to tell you guys about is one that's actually probably changed all of your lives. Her name is Retta Scott. Retta Scott was born in 1916 and spent her whole childhood drawing and creating and wanting to become an artist. At the time, her parents didn't have the resources to send her to any type of art school or put her into any type of art education, but she worked really hard to try and express her art and get it out to the public. Then she was noticed by someone that you might recognize, Walt Disney. Now, Disney at the time was trying to create some of the very first animated films, and that's when they asked Retta Scott to come and draw animations for their movies. Retta Scott is known as the very first female animator and the very first female animator to work with Disney. She also helped with the creation of the movies Cinderella, Snow White, and the very first Beauty and the Beast. Now, these movies were expressed and shown, and a lot of the time, other female animators and workers in the animation studios didn't get any credit, but Retta Scott demanded that she was given credit on her movies and her animations, and that's why she's credited as the very first woman in animation, because at the very end, in the credits, it said, Animator Head, Retta Scott. Thank you guys for coming along, learning about some women, and maybe even being empowered. I had a great time explaining some of the history involved with Women's Appreciation Month, and I hope you guys did too. I really encourage you guys to go out, do your own research, and enlighten yourselves on some other women history that I may have not covered, because it's really interesting, and I really want you guys to be knowledgeable on it. Now I want to express my own appreciation for all the women in the world and let you guys know that your hard work and all the things that you're striving to do and have accomplished and the goals you're working towards are all appreciated, especially from me and all the other people at Americorps. And we hope that you guys have an amazing month and the rest of the year. And that's all. I just love you guys. Thank you so much for everything that you guys do. Okay guys, thank you so much. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to Americorps. And keep your eyes out for more history videos coming, and make sure that you guys wash your hands, wear your masks, and definitely stay safe. I'll see you guys later. Bye!